Welcome back, everybody. It is Sunday, another edition of our Watchmen Challenge. Again, goal with this, Mike and I are contrasting some of the greatest comics of all time, kind of ranking them as we go, comparing them to Watchmen as the template, kind of the placeholder as the number one book. We are on our fourth book that we're examining. So we have already looked at Watchmen, we looked at Batman Year One, we looked at The New Frontier from Darwin Cook, and we are now in the second chapter of Batman The Long Halloween. I'm reading through this black and white version of it. Mike, I think you're just reading the classic trade paperback. If anybody wants to follow along with this, DC actually just released the compact issue of this. It was $9.99. That gives you all the content as well. But obviously, we encourage you guys to read along. Each week, we're going one issue at a time. And curiously enough, Mike, we're releasing this on the Sunday before Thanksgiving. And the second issue of this book is dealing with Thanksgiving, since each issue of this series is kind of holiday themed due to the holiday killer in that.
It'd be
So
the it'll be the Sunday after Thanksgiving
yeah,
when this
so
one comes out.
we start with where we left off last issue. We have this very Godfather-esque setup of Gotham City with the Falcones and the Maronis and kind of this eternal battle. We have our first holiday killing at the end. They do some great drops, dropping some things about could it be Gordon, could it be Dent. And at the end, Dent goes home and a bomb blows up and kind of leaves his fate unknown. We open with, and I think one of the cooler panels, Mike, you were showing it on there as well. One of the cooler panels of
Look
this
how cool that
awesome
is.
Harvey Dent is dead panel that we get.
There's Batman and Solomon Grundy there. And the first words on the first page is Harvey Dent is dead. And you're like, what? The issue two, we already have a major player off the board. This just slams you as a reader, and you're like, oh my gosh.
And I love
That
the
is,
parallels to kind of opening with Batman on that one. If you go back to the first issue, you open up with the I Believe in Gotham. And then you kind
yeah.
of have this cool entry page to each issue that Tim Sale does. I love the way he draws Batman in this, the use of the shadow. You have the color version. I'm reading the black and white since it's my kind of ninth time reading this through. But Tim Sale's art just sells so much of this. He draws Batman so incredibly cool, and his use of kind of dark shadow and things like that just really works. So we pivot to this, Mike. We get Gordon and Batman sort of working together. We have these five criminals that work for the Falcone family, and we see the two of them sort of interrogating these guys, trying to get information out of them. I love the dedication in this that Jeph Loeb shows of Batman being a detective, using his skills, also showing Gordon though. I love the team, and we talked about this. What this kind of fits is I don't think it was supposed to be, but this could very easily be Batman Year Two. Right, there is a Batman Year Two comic book, but this, if you took Batman Year One and just said this is next,
Yeah.
it does fit
Yeah.
really well. What did you think
Did
about the
Bat
opening and what they're showing?
did Batman Year Two come out after this?
Batman Year Two came out before this, so the Batman Year
Uh,
Two was McFarlane. I want to say that was late '80s when that one came out,
okay.
so like, decent, maybe early '90s. Batman Year
Uh,
Two is a little interesting, but this one I think, as a spiritual successor to Batman Year One, fits
I,
almost perfectly.
I would say absolutely. And because the partnership between Gordon and Batman was established in this kind of gritty, crime-ridden Gotham City, which we all we all know because of Batman Year One. Um, Gotham was always a seedy place, but it really picks that up and takes that from, what we know and love about the American mythology of the gangsters from the Godfather movies, and also from, Batman Year One. But here the partnership is never stronger. And just look at this cross page, double panel of them, classic detective interrogation. You've got the perp in hands behind his back in the chair, Gordon on one side, Batman on the other. Just classic, right?
No, the art, because we're working on these. I love the way Tim Sale draws Batman, where you just see the white eyes
Oh
and the
yeah.
logo. He such cool drawings of Batman throughout this. I mean, just absolutely awesome. And I think one thing I love about this, I love how much Batman and Gordon work together. I think when I read old stories like this, I so much miss that element out of modern Batman stories. And then it feels like Jim Gordon has really fallen to the back of Batman stories now. These great ones where you see these two working together, it just works so well. And I think this is a great highlight of that. We get their
Yeah.
interrogation. I know, Mike, there's a few things in this interrogation that kind of bugged you, or things that you saw that were different. And that we get Batman kind of recounting why he has these criminals arrested and things he was able to figure out. I know for you, even in a comic book story, there was a little suspension of disbelief here with the writing. Anything you'd highlight there?
Yeah, your logical brain goes, wait, there's a serial number on every nail, and you can place it back to the hardware store that bought it. Come on, man. And then you wipe it clean. You go, hey, it's Batman, You can
Yeah, yeah. Batman with prep time, undefeated. He can find out where a nail
yeah,
comes from in 5 minutes.
and there's the nail, the close-up of the nail, and you see the tiny thing. It made me go to my toolbox in the garage real quick and then look at the nails to see if there really was one. There wasn't, but that's cool though. Yeah,
So we get this recounting of the chase of how Batman apprehended this criminal, and this is where I think again Jeph Loeb to me always knows when to put some cool things in, and that you get some classic sort of noir mystery interrogation stuff, and then we pivot to the Batman piece of things and his fight with Solomon Grundy under the sewers. I thought just
oh
a
man,
really cool fight, really well
great art.
choreographed between the two.
Look at that, Jim. Look at that. That Batman is awesome.
Yeah, no, and you
Great
get this.
artwork.
I love the way they present Solomon Grundy in this, and I like the way they have Batman attacking Grundy, and that you can almost tell Batman is reluctantly doing so. He Grundy lives down there. Batman almost has empathy and sorrow for him, and he's like, if I
He
wasn't
calls
forced to
him,
hurt him, I wouldn't do it. I love the humanity that Jeph Loeb puts into Bruce Wayne as a character, and then I think sometimes they emphasize him being a jerk way too much. I think he nails that balance of yes, Batman is dark, brooding, awesome, but he also has a heart. He also is a good person, and he doesn't want to seek out
yeah,
violence for violence sake.
he says, I have no quarrel with you. I only came for the man who disturbed your privacy. That man. And then, Grundy gets mad. They get in their fight. But then I love the little narration at the bottom corner of this full page
Hmm.
that says Solomon Grundy, one of Gotham's lost souls.
Yeah,
So, there's empathy there for him. But Batman, it doesn't stop Batman from breaking his nose.
we just got to do. No, and this is where I think Loeb is a master in this comic book of always understanding the pacing, but also knowing, hey man, you're here for a superhero story. We can have Batman fight a monster on the page and give you
Yeah.
some action.
And I love the coloring
Mhm.
because, they put it in the past in this noir style, and they did it all with, just blue and black, which is classic.
We kind of get to the major reveal on this. We get some drama with the families where Carmine Falcone, sister's upset because the first victim of the holiday killer was her son. We see
Yeah.
a little bit of that going on, and then we get the reveal that Dent is in fact not dead. That Dent is using
Oh,
a mask, Mission Impossible style.
this threw me for a loop, because they
Hmm.
put him down in the cell, and then we get the thing. All of a sudden we find out that all these guys got put away. And the strange thing is, they didn't take much arm twisting. These guys confessed. Oh, and I'll put it in writing too. And
Yeah,
they all did the same thing, all five of them. And that's got to be driving Batman crazy and Gordon crazy because something's wrong here. They didn't point at Falcone. They just fessed up to it, and they wanted them all in jail. And
yeah.
so we find out that, they sent Harvey Dent in undercover. And
Hmm.
that just, it freaked me out because, you know, I really thought I was a
Yeah,
sucker.
some of these out
I
of
really thought
continuity
Harvey
ones
Dent was
you can
dead.
think. Yeah.
I really thought he was dead.
No, you get this interesting thing here, and I think, he has obviously the Mission Impossible mask reveal, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I think what I liked about this is well, there's a little bit of suspension of disbelief again with any of these stories. The Long Halloween takes itself seriously. It is a little weird that Harvey, with the Mission Impossible mask, was able to stand around these criminal allies and they didn't figure out it was him. but
And
I think it works.
Mickey the Mink, he seemed like he wasn't as of he was of smaller stature. And Harvey Dent is like 6 foot, you know.
Yeah. Not a
And,
perfect not a perfect way to do that. Cool reveal, but I do think yeah, you raise some points there where that logistically probably doesn't work the best.
and you're
Um,
telling me none of these hardened criminals noticed that it wasn't Mickey the Mink? I don't know.
I mean, they do try to cover it with like you think they suspected, and Dent's like, no, they're not that smart. But I don't know how much that covers it. We get kind of again though where it goes to strengths of this and shows Gotham City, and that Harvey Dent's like, look, we shouldn't even charge him. We're not going to get anything, even though they confess. We should cut them loose, let the Roman know they made a deal with us, and see how he reacts. And then we kind of see Gordon locking horns with him a bit, like, no, man, you're charging him, or I'll find someone else who will. And I thought that was
Yeah,
a cool character moment in that Gordon is this by the book guy, and you have Dent, who's a bit of a wild card, and then obviously Batman's the ultimate
yeah,
wild card. But I love that even though these three are working together, you see these different personalities that kind of exist. And I think where this has influenced a lot of popular culture stuff, the Dark Knight had this element too that was really well in there with that early portions of that movie where Gordon, Dent, and Bruce are working together. And you see them
classic.
locking horns on different things. And so I think a lot of that comes from this, which I
Oh
think is
yeah.
really cool.
They each approach it with a different angle. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Dent is maybe more legalistic and Gordon's all about the police work. He's all about the police force. And
Mm-hmm.
then you've got the vigilante, where Dent, has his eyes on politics, maybe. He's a district attorney. He's trying to get the big prize. But he does say that without the murder charge, the charges aren't going to stick because, he's not in fact dead. And
Yeah,
so,
no, and then they do the whole Harvey's like, hey, they'll make bail in an hour. Gordon says do it anyway. And I love we
yeah.
pivot too, and I think this is some of the strengths that we get. We get this cool kind of 3-page panel that shows the differing men. And I think this is where this comic book highlights this so well, is that largely what the long Halloween is, you're watching the journey of these three men who decided to try to make a difference in Gotham, and Bruce, Harvey, and Jim. And so you see the contrast of that of Bruce doing the narration of basically, nope, Harvey was wrong. They made it in less than an hour, and you kind of see Batman isolated by himself. You see Harvey
And
Dent, he's in the hospital with his wife, and then you get Gordon who, goes home late.
beautiful there, the way each panel just depicts each character. Like there's Bruce Wayne on the job still, while Harvey and Gordon get to go home,
Mm-hmm.
and but what of course, Gilda, I guess, is still in the hospital, right?
Yeah.
Is that, I forget, did I get those names mixed
Yeah,
up?
Gilda Dent and his wife.
Yeah,
Um,
and then Harvey's wife has already gone to bed.
yeah, you already got Gordon. Gordon goes home to the, cold Thanksgiving dinner. Uh,
Yeah.
we pivot then. I think one of the cool things Jeph Loeb puts in. I love this little silent theme of Batman just putting the Thanksgiving meal plate for Grundy. It's kind of almost like an apology sort of thing. And again, I think that's one of the big strengths of Jeph Loeb is that he highlights Bruce Wayne's humanity throughout this. And I think he's
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the writers who best gets that.
And how about that panel right there, Batman swinging through Gotham?
Mm-hmm.
That's that's some cool artwork right there.
Oh, and then we kind of close out with Holiday striking again. So we get this scene at the end, the criminals that were being interrogated, that were being held. They become the second victims of Holiday. They're kind of killed at a Thanksgiving dinner. We see the Holiday kind of clues left with the little Holiday decoration and the bullets. Um,
And they're like,
Again, I
hey,
think
hey, here's to the Roman. Thanks for getting us out of jail, boss. And
not a long live thank you.
no.
And I think
Next thing
what's
you
cool with
know,
this is, because this took place outside of the main continuity, one of the cool things is they did some little things in that first issue where they show, Jim Gordon, because they have the baby bottle silencer on it. They showed Gordon having that. They showed Harvey Dent downstairs at the tool desk where they kind of put it all together. And so then you have these three men who are intricately involved in those guys being in jail, and then they're the victims here. It does a good job of building that suspense of like, okay, who is the holiday killer with the clues they've dropped in there? And so I think
right.
that's again where Jeph Loeb to me, where this has a lot of strengths. And I think the second issue is not as strong as the first one. Where I think Jeph Loeb does such a good job with this is very much like Watchmen. There are little clues and little things that are being dropped through each issue, little parallels and different things. The opening splash page panel with an iconic quote kind of thing that goes throughout each of the issues. I think he layers it together, and you can really tell this is something that he thought through the entirety of this before it's published. And I feel like that's what we're missing out of comic books. And what makes some of these great ones great is you can tell the intentionality of what the writer was doing. Everything was in this book for a reason. There's not wasted panels. Even small stuff like the Grundy fight with Batman, it pays off later to Batman bringing him Thanksgiving dinner, right?
Yeah.
There's these cool parallels that he brings in there. And I feel like that's what isolates what we've seen the common trend of the New Frontier, Watchmen, Year One in this. The writers are intentional with what they do. They don't waste your time. They don't waste panels. They don't have, here's a random page because I needed to hit 20 pages this month and it makes no sense. I think that isolates it, makes it really cool. And any closing thoughts you have on this second issue, Mike?
It was a fun ride through that second issue. There was a big reveal that took me by surprise. And I love the colorist that worked on this. I don't know. Did the artist also do the colors on this one?
No,
Am
there's a
I-
different colorist on this one. I want to say, we'll get the name and I'll put it in the things here. I'm reading the black and white one, so it doesn't list the color on mine, but
No,
no.
not on that one, not on yours.
But overall, I think really, really strong second issue. Again, we're seeing a
Gregory
really
Wright.
okay. There you
Gregory
go.
Wright.
But yeah, let us know your thoughts on issue 2 of the No Long Halloween. This is a long one, folks. We got 13 issues of this, so I think we got 11 more, and then we'll kind of do our compare and contrast. But let us know your thoughts on this as you go. Thank you for watching. If you're watching this, have a happy Thanksgiving, or hope you did have a happy Thanksgiving. If it's after, God bless you. You have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.